I've started collecting seeds, and I had to go to Jill Noak's book. I thought that all these little flaky things were seeds. It's like, yay, this is like 10 seeds, right? No, there's a tiny little, tiny round seed in the middle. So I have to like rub this on a wire mesh to get rid of all the little flyaway stuff. So now I know what I'm looking for. You can see it better. All the people who know how to do this are damn silly. That's what's eventually going to be the seed, not all of the fluffy stuff around it. Huh, it's flying away. Which wants to be down in a low, good drainage and often damp spot, but we water this here, and it's our seed nursery. I thought these were the seeds, once again, little fuzzy things. No, this is in the corn family, so the seeds look like kernels of corn.
It's a sensational grass. Cows, kind of like Easter gamma grass.
So we harvest
Cows ate it out.
and plant all of this.
Stand by it again and just say what it is and kind of put your hand there.
Eastern gamma grass, it's we call it ice cream grass because the cows just go straight to it and eat it down to the ground. But it's like kernels of corn stacked on top of each other, the seed pods are. And we come through here and let these dry out and just come over here and just pick the kernels off here and plant them. Usually plant them in the fall.
They're not as many as there used to be, both because of cows, but also people going out in the wild and digging them up. But the colors, although they're called bluebells, early on they look more purple. Such a beautiful, smooth top.
I said, this is what I'm getting. This is October and November. This is I do all my prepping right now. And I get this seed from Native American seed. And like, this is sustainable quail and dove mix. And I got it planted in one of my piles out there. And this is a sack of just blue grama, but most of the rest of these are, this is shade friendly mix. Midway mix. I got 2 scorched earth mixes in the back, a pocket prairie, Be Happy mix, butterfly retreat, and this is how you cheat. If you want instant gratification, you go after this seed mix and get everything, get real diversity, and the seed is excellent. Okay, on the crop circles, I will go out like with the bucket on my tractor, and I'll pick up a load, and I'll go back to wherever I want to put it usually where there's not good dirt or it's real rocky or something. And I'll dump that load and get a rake and just spread it out in a 6-8 foot circle. And I'll take these seed mixes and I'll take a seed mix and I'll seed the whole thing with that seed mix. Actually, we did 2 over there and we did 1 right here, and we planted it all at the same time. I think this is Butterfly Retreat, and it did so well, and we planted it at the right time of the year. It did so well that we expanded it, put some more piles over here, and we'll plant things like shade-friendly mix under the trees, and bee happy mix, and butterfly mix, and I think one of these is midway mix, and they've just really turned out well. And I think we usually put this dirt in an area where we don't have much soil and not much grass either, and it's just really performed well, and we can reach all these piles with a water hose, so it's an instant gratification. This is another pile of dirt here that we spread out, and this particular one is quail mix. It just looked really good, and we spread this out. This is like 2 weeks ago, and we planted a little late, but again, we can get to it with a water hose, so we did it anyway. But it's coming up nicely. This is Texas cup grass, and the painted buntings love it. We're talking to Bill Neiman, and he talks about this in his catalog, and we thought, well, we'll just try it. And we put this stuff out, and we had painted buntings the first year it seeded out, and we've had them every year since then. So we kind of keep it on the fence line here, and the painted buntings will jump on this wire and reach over here and get it. It's really a beautiful sight. And I went in and picked all this Mexican grass out, and I think this is Bee Happy mix. It's either Bee Happy mix or Butterfly Retreat mix with Native American seed. And what I do is I bring garden dirt, and I'll take a spot that I want to plant this stuff and I don't want to have to till it, and I'll just put this dirt down here, spread it around with a rake, and take that mix and throw it out here where I can get to it with a water hose, get it started, and it just kills it. And I've got another one right there. And I've got about 3 along the road that I planted not too long ago. Really too late, but I can reach them with a water hose, so I did it anyway. And I've got one right under that tree over there that I planted only like 2 weeks ago. And I put that shade-friendly mix in there just to see what comes up. And if you get to it with a water hose, it's pretty instant gratification. Just came out here and tossed it, and this is the result, and it's just slowly spreading around. You can see it popping up all over the place down here. And these Eastern Gamma Grass, I planted sprigs here about 3 years ago, just kind of doing a trial test. And this year they just really exploded, so I went and we got about 60 more sprigs and just scattered them out all through here. And it's a lot of work. You got to water them quite often, like every day. But I love this grass. It's just spectacular.
This is yellow Indian grass coming up. The light colored, sort of blue-green. It won't head out and seed until September. And this is all coming up in white yucca because the cows love it and they will rip it out and destroy it. So we've collected seeds from where we planted it 18 years ago on the other property, and I'll come in and hand plant it in the yucca. You can see the color, it's just starting to come up. And we've gone through on this acreage here and eliminated all of the Russian thistle, and we left the Texas thistle, and you'll see butterflies, critters all over it. And they like for their feet to be wet, so that's why they're in here with all the Lindheimer muley, which always tells you there's a sepia area. And down there farther, thank goodness we didn't get to it, or we would have done a Corps of Engineers channeling project. We've left the brush.
Okay.
And the birds nest in it, and over across by the lake, they love to be able to hide in the brush to go down and get a drink without the red-tailed hawk getting them. switchgrass in front of the thistle and buttonwood willow down in the drainage area over there. One of the really cool things about people getting together and sharing, we go every year, well, they didn't have it this year, to the Texas Land Steward dinner. And sitting at the table, you share information. And one of the ranch managers out near Big Ranch near Rock Springs said, oh, well, you have to have smoke trees. And they're really thriving.
We got 3 smoke trees just to try them out.
This bur oak tree in the summer, if we're not here for a week or so to water it, maybe 2 weeks, the leaves will turn yellow and fall. So we use the bags now to keep it happy because it really doesn't like the extreme heat.
When we first came in here, we had to drive through the place, and we had a single road going diagonally through the ranch, and we couldn't see anything, so we had to walk down the creek just to be able to see what we were looking at. And at one time, this was solid cedar, and it goes. You can see as we drive through the place where we stopped. You look back over behind us here, and it's just wall-to-wall cedar, no grass, and it's just taken a long time. We took all this in baby steps. But the first time we cleared this, we came back a year later, and it didn't rain. We were going through a bad drought at the time. And we stood up on that hill, and Pam and I thought, boy, this is the dumbest thing we ever did. And it rained. They got these unusual rains in June and July after we left. And we came back in September, and it looked like every seed had come up that we planted.
Of the next year.
Yeah, it was too cool. But you got to have a lot of patience. This is a typical example of what cedar does to your place. There's no grass to speak of for acres and acres and acres underneath this cedar. And it just, when you take this stuff out and expose that dirt to sunlight, the grass seed just goes crazy. But the reason we left this is because most of it's on a pretty good slope, and we're just nervous about cutting any cedar. Nervous about using a dozer in here on these kind of slopes. Always worried about the big rain. All right, when we bought this place, we did all of our dozing on the sides everywhere, and I wouldn't let the dozers anywhere close to the creek. And so we always knew we were going to have to hand clear it. And when the kids got into junior high school, we would, because we worked overseas, I wanted them to have a summer job. And so when they got here, we'd let them ask a couple of their friends, and we would clear it. We cleared the entire creek through the ranch by hand, and and it was really tough because it was always July or August when we came out here on vacation. So it took us about the better part of 10 years to get this whole thing cleared out. This is just a real lush area down here. You obviously have the East Fork in the middle. The East Fork of the Middle Fork or Middle River comes through here, 3 Mile, and this is solid rough leaf dogwood in here, and it thrives in here because it's on real steep banks, and the deer can't get to it. And you've also, of course, you have a lot of yellow Indian grass and switchgrass in this area as well, and we've thrown all this. All this has been seeded years ago.
Yeah, there was no seed bank here of yellow Indian grass or switchgrass or.
Yeah, we hadn't. You know, come think, we didn't have any switchgrass or yellow Indian grass hardly on this place.
Mm-mm.
In fact, we had no switchgrass, no eastern gamma grass, and it's really turned out well.
No big blue
through the
stem.
years. Big blue stem's another one. We've got a pretty good sized field over there of big blue. These are madrone trees, and we planted these a year ago. We pick them up at the native plant place outside of Kerrville, and they're very temperamental trees. We planted 8 and we lost 2, but we'll dig them up. We do what they tell us to do, which is we'll take cedar mulch out from under these trees, mix it up with the dirt, put them in the ground, and you know, I'll water them once every couple of weeks. I usually stick my finger in there and make sure it's moist, but you can overwater them and kill them, so you have to be really careful with these. Now they've gotten started. I very seldom water them unless it's maybe August and we're not getting any rain at all. I'll come here and give them a bucket of water, but they've done quite well. I give them the eastern exposure. I plant them all on this eastern ridge where they don't get the western sun, and that seems to be the trick so far. This is a black persimmon, and you know, we don't have any on the whole place, and we planted this one, and we really haven't done much anything to it, and it seems to be doing great. And right here we got a western soapberry, and then the rest of these cages through here are all madrone trees, and that's what we're really focused on right now, is just getting madrone trees in here. They seem to do very well.
We've left the large cedars because we learned that the golden cheek warblers, which we do have in our canyons here, strip this off to make their nest. We then learned that the Spanish oak, which is here and that big one behind, is just as essential because in the spring the Spanish oak have little caterpillars that the golden cheek warblers eat.
This field in here is it's heavy Linheimer muley grass and bushy blue stem. We usually can't even run this road down here because it's full of water all the time. It just seeps. And this is a really good spot to put in switchgrass and eastern gamma grass. And that's one of our next projects next year, is to try to load this thing, put a lot of sprigs and seed out here, and get those 2 grasses started, because I'm sure they were here at one time. The conditions are perfect for those 2 grasses. Jeff Breeden from Tarleton University, he brings his kids down, and you'll see a lot of exclosures around the ranch. And that's just one of them down there. It was just a Spanish oak, and there was nothing underneath it. And he puts this exclosure around, and all kinds of plants and various trees grow out of that exclosure. And at some point, we'll take these down and move on to another spot. This is why you have to rotate. You see all this yellow Indian grass around here, and the cows that's one of their choice grasses, and you just have to rotate them off. Can't give them very long. But this whole field all the way to the end is just loaded with yellow Indian grass, and September. It is gorgeous.
It's just coming out now. It'll
Yeah.
be 3 feet tall.
Yeah, it'll be 3 feet tall. This area right here was, we came by here one day and the hogs had just rooted up this big area right here. And I mean, they rooted it from head to toe. And Pam and I had a lot of yellow Indian grass we picked on the Mason Highway, and we just pulled it out of a bag and just spread it out here. This was 2 years ago, and you can see all this yellow Indian grass coming up. And it's really, it's an easy way to plant native grass. We were out here with Thomas Hammer from NRCS, and we had a shin oak and a rusty blackhaw, and he was telling us that if we didn't put a cage around it, the deer just annihilate the rusty blackhaw, and the only way to save them is put a cage around it. So we started off with a single cage around these 2 trees. They were completely bare. And every 2 or 3 years we have to put another 16-foot panel in here just to keep the deer off of it, and it just turned into a thicket with all kinds of trees coming up in here, and it's turned into a bird sanctuary. And so you'll see these around the ranch everywhere.